Hey everybody, hi, it's Becky from Power Tools with Thread, and you are catching a third in a series of the Kimberbell mini quilt for March. And I love that I've got some of you already here in the chat. That is so great. I love it. So I'm on my phone right here, and where I'm at my cutting table, and then I'm gonna move and go to my sewing station over at my sewing machine, and we'll put it all together, and then I'll show you all the tips and tricks that I use in order to get this thing put together so it looks right? Hi everybody. Yes, it's so great to see y'all. Happy Valentine's Day. I got a little sewing love on my t-shirt today. Okay, so this particular month, there were some designs in the mini quilt that did not have an outer box around the design itself. So if you were not doing the background quilting, you might be a little lost as to where you would actually need to trim the block and get it right. So we stitched this one on the single needle. This was the first one that we did. And this particular block, I'm going to hold it up to the back, it had that bounding box around it. So you can see that's exactly where you would need to trim. You need to look at your instructions on it's the PDF file that comes on the CD, and it will tell you at the end of the stitch out exactly how large to make the finished block. But so this one had that little box on it. The little shamrock clover, the 4-leaf clover, did not. So you've got to look at it, and it's going to say trim to 4.5 inches square. So the best method to put which isn't that big of a deal, you can use a 4.5 inch squaring ruler. You can use your orange pop rulers. These are the rectangular ones. We're going to use that now. If you've got the square set, you can use those. But the way that these are digitized to go together is for if you were using the background quilting, you're going to have that batting placement line, and we're going to pin and point those batting placement corners exactly together, and that's what's going to make everything go together correctly. Well, if you didn't do the background quilting and you didn't have the little bounding box like you do on this one, you're kind of stuck to know where exactly do you need to stitch so that it fits correctly. So my advice is to go ahead and trim the block to 4.5 square, like it says, and then use a ruler, a regular ruler. You can use any ruler. I've got the Trimmer by George right here, and I've got a link to this below. But the Trimmer by George, it has regular ruler markings on it for you, and just lay the edge of the ruler over your 4.5 inch square, and then draw a line, whether it's with a pen or I would use like a friction marker or a heat erasable pen. You could do that and then do it on all 4 corners, because that is going to be where the placement line for the batting would have been. Okay, so while this is finished, unfinished is 4.5, finished is 4. So just mark your 1/4 inch seam all around on the back with a pen or some kind of marker, and that's going to show you exactly how to do that. Now, if you've got the orange pop rulers, I want to show you how those work. So I'm gonna tip this down just a little bit for you guys. Okay, you're on my phone, so this is how we go. All right, I've got a rotating mat here. If you're going to be doing this, rotating mats are very, very handy. Okay, well, the first thing we need to do is to trim up away the batting and the stabilizer. So again, if you have a Trimmer by George, if you don't have the Trimmer by George, you were to trim the batting in the hoop. Okay, you would do that, And on some of these blocks, like this one, they did not give you the batting and tack down. So it's kind of hard to know where to trim. Maybe you're supposed to add batting to the whole 9 yards at the end of it. I'm not sure. I guess there's a lot of different ways we could do this. This is the first time I've ever done a Kimberbell design where on some of the blocks, and you'll find the same thing for April, that they did not give you the batting placement and tack down lines. The very first stitch in this particular block is the placement line for a couple of the hearts. Okay, so the trimmer by George, I love this thing. It's got a metal, it's an aluminum lip right here, okay? And it's 1/4 of an inch high. And this is the most fantastic ruler in the world because you just lift up your fabric, okay? Now, I can't zoom in, you guys, on this phone, I'm sorry. So I can see that box, the bounding box line right there, okay? So you just want to take the little edge and put it right on that line and fold it over, just so you're only leaving the batting and the stabilizer exposed and your fabric is safely tucked underneath the ruler. To do this, you're going to need the 60mm rotary cutter, okay? You're gonna need to use this. These, if you're using an Olfa, your 45, that little black button, if you pop this down, the little black button gets in the way of the ruler and it won't reach down to the mat. So you have to use a 60. Okay, so you just take this and you're just going to trim it up nice and clean like that. And then the instructions tell you to use a 1/4 inch seam. You can use a 1/4 inch. I like a 1/2 inch just because I feel that it's easier to press when I'm pressing everything open on the back. So I'm going to just kind of use my cut right here on the batting and the stabilizer and flop the ruler over and cut myself a 1/4 inch, a 1/2 inch seam allowance like that. So now I've got a 1/2 inch and you can see how nice and close that gets that. Okay, this is great. So if you don't have one of these and you're going to be doing any of these kinds of block by block designs like this, I'm just going to put this up here. Oh, this is where I trimmed away when we were stitching on, when we were doing the single needle. So I'm going to make this nice and neat. I'm going to put it on here and just trim this up and get that extra batting on the corner away. So you're always going to want to use the trimmer by George. It's just the greatest invention in the whole wide world, right up there with a weed eater, you know, sliced bread and all that. Okay, so I'm going to do one more or two more. Let me do this. I'm just going to fold this back and then set this up on its edge, fold it over, and then trim. Now, you don't really have to do the overall trimming on this if you don't want to, because we are going to center cut using the orange pop rulers. So you guys can, you know, see how to do things however y'all want. So you also notice I'm not using my rotary mat. I'm just flipping it around. So put this right on here. The rainbow did not have a bounding box. Okay. Okay, and I'm not sure about the pot of gold. I didn't look. Okay, so I'm not even going to cut these outer edges because I want to show you guys. Look how nice and neat and clean that got up under there. So good. Okay. All right. So now what I want to do is I want to use the orange pop rulers. Now these come with multiple sizes in a single set. Okay. And in this case, you're supposed to nest them just to be able to get this width right here on this smaller one. So let me show you how they want you to do this. So when you nest these all together, you're probably thinking, what on earth? And they have the sizes for them embossed down here on the bottom. They're kind of hard to see. But these are really cool because they've got cuts in the corners. that will allow your rotary cutter to get in there, okay? That's all right, you're not late, you're good. So I'm just gonna put this on here like this. All right. Now what I wanna do is make sure I'm eyeballing the background quilting and making sure I've got equal amount of background quilting on either between these edges right here, and it is centered. This is kind of what I'm after. I'm looking for equal amount between the end of this side letter over here and this letter over here. I've got about almost 1/4 of an inch of the Y sticking out at the beginning of this outer ruler, and almost 1/4 inch over here. So that looks right. And I can see, so I'm right from side to side. Okay. Okay. So this is where it needs to be from side to side. And then when you're looking here, I've got almost right around 1/2 inch and 1/2 inch. This looks center to me. So what they want you to do is, and I know it looks a little not straight. I don't think I cut it straight. Is it not straight? It looks straight to me because my fabric is not straight on the edges, and that's why it looks wonky. Okay. So what I'm going to do is in here, I'm just going to, on the inside, you're going to cut this long ways. Don't cut it short ways. You'll cut your block into pieces, but you're going to cut it long ways. So I'm going to put my rotary cutter right here and just push it forward. Okay. And then I'm going to turn. This is why you want the rotary mat. And then put it in here and push it forward. Okay. And then now this right here is the width that you want. So this is going to be your 4.5 and this is going to be your 12.5. Then just take this and cut that. All right. And spin it around and cut this one. Okay. So now remove these. And then what you do is you take a regular ruler. Okay, let me get one that's long enough. You're going to take a regular ruler and you're going to put it right on that line. Y'all, this is looking crooked. My goodness, that's driving me crazy. Can't look at the edges of the fabric. I need to look at the cut. So this is going to be straight like this. Yes, this works right here and it works right here. I like that. So now I've got this cut in the middle. I can complete the cut on either end like that. That's how you're supposed to center those. It's a little counterintuitive, but it works pretty well. So you just got to make sure you don't make those short cuts. Hush, Frito. Sorry, guys. Amazon's here. Okay. All right, that's enough. Frito, hush. Sorry, guys. I apologize. Okay, so I'm sorry. Excuse me. That's enough. Stop it. Okay. Ta-da! I'm going to have to cut that part out of the video, guys. So there you go. I'm sorry. Frito, hush. I know somebody is out there. It's okay. She's such a good watchdog. I'm sorry, guys. My life. I'm sorry. Okay. I'll go back when the video's over and pop that out so that you guys don't have to listen to it if you're watching after the fact. Okay, so there we go. Well, and if you look on the back now, you can see, for the most part, pretty close, we've got our 1/4 inch seam allowances there on the back, okay? So, yeah. All right, so this is how the orange pop rulers work. They're very, very handy. You can also use, you know, a regular centering ruler. There's also the old-fashioned way of doing business, okay? So what you can do is they told you to cut your background fabric to 14.5 by 6.5, right? And so what you can do is even if you didn't, sometimes people will put an oversized piece in the hoop and stitch it out and then cut it down to size. But your original backing fabric was 14.5 by 6.5. Cut it to that, right? And then fold it in half and do the math and trim it down on the short side and trim it down on each side so that you bring it into where it needs to be. So long before there were centering rulers, you think you're going to speak for all pet-friendly people. Oh, thank you, Emma Weber. I appreciate that. She's just doing her job. Keith took his daughter and granddaughter into town to go shopping. So the dogs are in here with me because they don't like being by themselves. All right. So I've got this all done up now. I have got my rainbow is all finished here. And my pot of gold, I think, is over by the sewing machine. I hope it's over by the sewing machine. I've got all these other pieces right here. So yeah, it's over by the sewing machine. We need to go sew all of these together. So I'm gonna go over to the other camera and I will see you guys in just a second. I've got some feedback. Hold on. Okay. Whoop, that didn't work. Okay. All righty. One man show. Sorry about that. Okay. I love that your fur babies follow you around. Okay. Y'all, that is so unprofessional. People say that all the time. That's the worst when they're watching a video and the dog starts barking. She's just doing her job, right? Okay. So here is my little pot of gold. Look how sparkly that was. I did use King Star. Oh, there we go. I did use King Star metallic threads in the sparkles and also in the top of the pot of gold. So we good? Yeah, we're good. Okay. Can you guys hear me just fine? I just want to make sure because I had this one muted, so I wasn't. Okay, good. Yeah. So I'm something like I must have cut something wrong because I got a little green ring around the. Was that supposed to be there? Oh well, it looks cute. I'm gonna leave it, right? I probably trimmed away the gold where I should not have. So now what I'm going to do is sew these together. And like I said, where you want them to sew together is the batting tack down or placement line. They're pretty much on top of one another. And you can tell if you did the background quilting because you can see how these stitch lines are going to go together. See that, how they marry up? They're the same distance, right? The same height. So you just stitch those together. But in order to do that, just like the old ones, let me put this right here. Okay. So how I do that is I'm going to get right up close where you guys can see. So here's the outer stitch line for that batting. Is that the batting or not sure? Yeah. So the outer stitch line, I'm going to put a pin right inside of that. So the stitching is outside of the pin. And then I'm going to put that pin right in this direction on this one. Okay. And if you had to draw the lines on the back, then you maybe can see them through the fabric, or you might want to make a pin and take a pin from the other side and push it through. And that way you'll know where to go. Okay. And so now that those are right together with a pin, now you want that pin to be horizontal, just like this. You don't want it one way or the other wonky. You want it to be horizontal. Then I'm going to take another pin and just go ahead and go in one side of the seam allowance and out the other, and then pull the anchor pin so that it's pinned just like that. But now I know that these two lines on this block and this block are going to line up. And I'm going to do the same thing in the other corner. I'm going to take the pin and match it up. We don't have that many blocks in this one. We had a nine patch in January, remember? We did that last December. My gosh, the months are flying by, aren't they? Now look here. So my seam allowances are not even at all, okay? This is shorter than this one. That doesn't matter. Your seam allowances are unimportant. The width, the height, any of them, completely unimportant, okay? So I'm going to just make sure that those stitch lines marry up, all right? That's all that matters, is that those marry up. All right, let me in one side of the stitch line and out the other. Okay, and let me get my little pen, my little marker pen here. I have drawn a line, the blue line, where the stitch line is. I'm going to run my needle right inside of that so that that stitch line actually kind of lands in the seam allowance. It'll be hidden in the seam allowance. And that's the way you do that. Okay. So you kind of aim for it. Let me put you down here and get you in close. You see? So you're just going to, and you can back tack if you want. You don't have to, because you're going to capture that in the binding. And I'm like one needle width right inside of that stitch line. There we go. So this is what it looks like. Okay, let me back you out. It's the same as the double heart runner. You're exactly right, Jenny. When you get to putting these are kind of getting to be the norm for machine embroidery projects. A lot of digitizers are making a block by block design to make a whole, whether it's that Double the Love table runner, maybe you're making a Designs by Juju design or a Kimberbell design. They all go together like this. And so once you got that little nugget of knowledge in your head, you're like, piece of cake, I can do that. So there we go. And look, see how those seam lines match up across the top and on the bottom. See that? That's exactly what you're looking for, just like that. And you cannot see that stitch line in the seam allowance. And we know it's right. So I like to press these open with my fingers. And here I go with why I like the wider seam allowance. If you have a 1/4 inch, it'll want to stand up and be a little bulky, but we will go over to the ironing station when we put the backing on. I'll mash them down really good. I might hit them with a shot of steam and a clapper. So the clapper is a real good tool to have when you're doing this. Okay, so there's the bottom row right there. And we need to put Lucky on next, I believe. Now this one doesn't have that stitch line on the front. It's only got it on the back for the batting. So I need to put those points together on those corners like I had showed y'all before. Is it a Kimberbell background? Yes, Marilyn, it sure is. This is Kimberbell's background quilting. So I'm going to put this in this corner and put it in this corner. Yeah. And line those up and hold that pin horizontal and in one side of the stitch line and out the other, just like that. And then on these long pieces, you might want, let's see, let me make sure this is going to fit. Is this going to fit? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. On these long pieces, You may want to also pin somewhere along in the center to keep it straight and make sure something doesn't, just kind of pin right inside that seam line right there and push it straight across inside the seam line of the block it's going to marry up to. Okay, and do that. And that's just going to make sure everything holds where it's supposed to. Let me do this. I don't want my seam allowance going everywhere. Okay, so now I'm ready to stitch this down. And again, right inside the seam allowance. I don't recommend stitching over your pins. Not a good idea. Avoid at all costs, although sometimes you might feel like you have to. Okay. I hope that worked out. Yep. That looks pretty good. Okay. So that worked out really well. Now, I'm going to be pressing this one side or the other. I don't know if I'm going to press them open or not. Turned out real cute. Okay. And now for the rainbow. One more time, same thing. See, I'm thinking I got a little bit extra over here on this bottom block. I'll trim it back. These things are pretty forgiving so long as you get the, you don't have that seam showing in your seam allowance. It's pretty forgiving. Let me see. Now this one's going to go over the heavy stitching on the rainbow right up here, and that's okay. I'm just going to pin these together and do a 1/4 inch. Yeah. Yeah, you really can't, on this particular case, very forgiving, pretty hard to mess up. All right. There we go. All done. Look at that. See how the rainbow kind of keeps going into the pot of gold? Isn't that cool? Yeah, you got to go back to work. I understand, Jenny. I don't want to be, getting you in trouble or anything. So I've got a little bit extra fabric right over here. I'm going to trim that off. I don't know what I was doing when I was trimming on that, but this is ready now to get a backing put onto it and a binding. I love it too. It's super cute, isn't it? What an adorable design. So did you guys use your Mylar in your little sparkles? I did. Metallic thread and Mylar in the sparkles. Super, super cute. Just love it. All right. So let's go over to the ironing station now and get it ready for the backing. So much like this morning, we're going to come over here. I've got my backing already laid out. Let me get by you. And how I'm going to do this. All right, I've got my sew tights on here. I'm going to use my sew tights to help me hold this thing together so I don't have to use a bunch of pins and stick myself. So I'm just going to, these things are wanting to lay how they want to lay, and I'm not going to fight them. These are not quilt blocks, so you really don't have to worry about it a whole lot. But I'm going to get it as flat as possible and use a clapper. And just get them down. If you don't have a clapper, get a child's wooden block and they're usually untreated wood. from a toddler. You know, they have those wooden blocks. Those are great for clappers. Nothing wrong with that. Okay. Yeah, don't fight it. Whatever way they want to lay is fine, just so long as you get them pretty flat. And if you didn't do background quilting and if you didn't, you know, have batting in it, now is when you'd want to lay a piece of batting on your background fabric. I've got pretty side down. Okay. And I don't want to use this whole piece of fabric. I want to save a lot of it. I'm going to trim it to fit. So let me get this. This is driving me crazy, you guys. Let me trim this. I don't know what I was thinking, but I'm going to trim this up right here. It's going to be all covered with binding, so no big deal. There we go. All right. So I'm going to leave just a little bit on the sides, these two sides right here. Okay. And I'm going to leave it oversized so that I can trim it to fit when it's all said and done. I find that to be easier and it just looks a lot better. So I'm going to take my rotary cutter. I just slipped a quilter's cut and press underneath. I like to keep this by my ironing station. And I'm going to just give it a little rough cut here. About 1/2 inch or so. Okay. And let me turn it. And then I will trim it to size. Perfect. All right. There we go. That looks really good. This is such an easy process. What did I do with my binding? I had my binding. It was close. Right here somewhere. So now I'm going to use my sew tights. And I'm going to use these to put this together, and I'm going to stitch in the ditch to anchor this to the backing, and then I'm going to stitch around the outside of it to put it all together. So it's really simple. I'm just separating my little back pieces. This is the Sew Tights HD. I have a permanent coupon code and a link underneath in the description box that you can get 15% off of Sew Tights. And I'm getting to where I absolutely love these for these kinds of embroidery projects, because they just hold everything right where I want it. And then this is a cool little magnetic stand, very handy to keep everything together where you need it. And you get that on the Sew Tights website as well. I'm not going to go through this. Let me. Okay. Very handy. These are just so much better than getting your fingers stuck. And my old fingers don't like fiddling with the pins anymore. Whoop, I don't have a backing on that one. My backings are in a bowl over there. Whoop, put this here. And it just kind of will go where it needs to go. Great. One more. Let me see. I need a, right here, I'll use my Magnum. I have these all on my long arm, these Magnums. Love them. So let me put this like right here. Great. Okay. So now I'm ready to go over. See that? It's great. I did not put them across any seams, so I shouldn't have any drama. Okay? I shouldn't. I say that. We cut off. There we go. Sorry about that. Yeah, they're very, very handy. They're the newest thing that are on the market for sewing and machine embroidery, and they use them for hand paper piecing, where people are doing their little hexies and they hold little tiny ones. They have them for everything. It's great. So I'm going to use some to stitch in the ditch. I've got different colors of fabric here. So I'm going to use some Superior Mono Poly thread, or as I call it, Superior Monopoly thread. Let me put this up so you guys can see it. Okay. Let me get my face out of there and maybe it'll, there it is. Superior's Mono Poly thread. Monopoly thread. Get this on Amazon, and it works great. It's very, very light, and I'm going to rethread the machine the same way that I do with regular thread. There's nothing. Now, the one thing I don't do with this stuff is I do not use my automatic thread cutter because it'll unthread the needle all the time. It does it. So I don't like to fiddle with that. So I pull it away and then trim it with my snips. Okay, so I'm going to put this up here like this, and I'm just going to unthread and pull it through. Let's see. Not going to go. What do we got going on? Oh, we've got a problem here. There we go. Pull it through. There we go. And you want to leave a really long tail when you're using this stuff because it will spring back on you. Just like fishing line. It'll spring back on you. And then I'm going to use the old-fashioned needle threader to get this particular needle threaded because I can't see it. I don't know about y'all. If you've got super eyes, I can't see it. So I'm just going to pop this end through the threader, hold on to it, and then pull it through. There we go. Okay, we're threaded. And we have a loop, of course. All right. All right, so that's threaded. And then I need to change my bobbin. And my bobbin, I take a little piece of white, that white paper tape, and that's what I take my bobbin. I keep it closed so it doesn't go everywhere. These things, this thread, it works great, but it's hard to see the whole time. You're like, I can't see what I'm doing. Okay. So, and I'm not going to use the thread cutter on here. I'm going to hold my thread and pull it up. There we go. The old-fashioned way, guys, before all of our machines were so fancy to be doing this stuff for us. I'm going to pull this up and through. Okay. So again, I do not use the thread cutter on this machine. The thread will just pop away. Okay. All right. I'm going. Yeah. Energizer Bunny Day. Oh, I don't have a 3:30 today with all brands. It's 3:30 tomorrow. So that'll be tomorrow. All right. So now I'm just going to stitch in the ditch on the low side. So like you can kind of really see high side, low side, one side. I'm not even going to fiddle with my ditch foot, you guys. I'm just going to wing it here. Let me do right here first. Now, these magnets will hang up on your metal faceplate on your machine. So you can just kind of, work with that. I'm going to go back and back tack this. Get my pins out of the way. Got magnets all over this thing. Uh-oh. Did I have something broke? My thread? No. Something sounds like it broke. Something doesn't sound right. Let's see. Yep. My needle came unthreaded. Sure did. Okay. Why did that happen? Needle came unthreaded. Sometimes, you guys, this stuff, I should have just done a green and called it good, right? We'll give it one more try on here. Let's see. I can't see the thread. Okay. I guess I need to slow down a little bit. Happens, y'all. Just slow it down. Okay. Let's try it again. Thread this needle. All right, let's give it another shot. I may need to mess with the tension a little bit. I really don't want to. I hate to do that. Is that working? Yes. Yes, it is working. It looks like it's working. Okay. Yeah, I'm going over multicolors in the rainbow. I did not want to put a colored thread on that. That wasn't just, it just wasn't going to look right, I didn't think. Oh, no. Woo, y'all, did you see that? Oh my gosh. I hit the magnet on the sew tight. Yeah. Oh no. Danger, Will Robinson. Yes, I did. Absolutely did that. Oh my goodness. Yep, that happens. I've done that with the long arm too. That is the danger. Had I been using the little bitty ones, it wouldn't have happened. But I jumped to that magnum. Oh. All right. How about that? That was exciting. Was that exciting? Wow. That was cool. Okay. I don't know where that tip went. There's my bobbin thread. Holy moly. Did you hear that? I know my machine's noisy. It's old. I oil it all the time. I'm sorry, machine. I'm sorry. Okay. I don't know where that end went. Happens to all of us, you guys. You don't freak out over it. Just, you know. So the tip did not go down into the machine. It's on the outside somewhere, probably on the floor, because it didn't go down in that single hole. So that's okay. Let's see. Not a big deal. That was my fault with the magnet. Oh my goodness. Yes, ma'am. Broke my needle. Bigger than Dallas, I did. You betcha. This is what happens, you know, when you're doing this. So lesson learned, right? Keep your sew tights way away from your, you know, it happens if you were doing it with pins too and you hit a pin. It happens. Well, that was my fault. I didn't use the right size sew tie. And I shoved it out of the way and I thought the backing went with it, but it did not. Oh, let me see. Okay. I was needing a new needle anyway. I'll just say that and see, it bounced back. When you turn loose of it, it bounced back. I can't see it. Ah, here it is. All right. Working with this stuff is a challenge, y'all. But the end result is well worth it. Okay. Pull that. I'm having technical difficulties, you guys. Big time. I have to use a needle thread. Let's see. Yeah, this has been a heck of a live, hasn't it? Dog's been barking, breaking a needle, unthreading my needle several times. This has been great. You guys ever have sew days like this? Okay. We're going to do this again. All righty. Here we go. We're back in business now. And let me pick up where I left off. Right there. Okay. Okay, here we go. Turn that back on, make sure I'm working. Let's see. Okay. Okay. Again, not using the needle thread cutter. I'm going to pull it and hold on to my tails and trim. I don't want that to pop out of the needle because it is famous for that. You've seen that now 3 times, right? Keeping it real. Yes, it is. That's what I'm doing. Y'all, this is life in my sewing room. Absolutely. Okay. Let's go this way. Let's see if we don't have any drama this way, right? Okay. Oh, slow down. Don't get froggy. Am I sewing? Yeah, I'm sewing. I think I'm sewing. I can't see the thread at all, you guys. No, I'm not sewing. I'm not. Okay, I've about had it with this clear thread. I think I'm done with the clear thread. Done. Done. So, I could use white. I could use a green. I wanted the clear because I didn't want color on the back. You love it when things go wrong. You learn something. Yeah, I'm going to get a green, you guys. I'll be right back. Let me get this. Let's see. We got a little aqua going on there. Maybe a mint green. Either the aqua's too dark or the mint green. I think I might leave the mono poly in the bobbin here. You love live issues. Yeah. That's my life, you guys. I'm going to go ahead and so I'll be honest with you guys. I've used this many times on the Luminaire with 0 problems. Okay. I suspect my issues with this are because of this particular machine. So we're not going to blame the thread today. We're going to blame me for using this thread on the machine. I can't even see. I don't even know where this thing is. All right. So here's the end and here's an end, and let's tie these together. My goodness sakes, a mercy. Oh. I'd rather be doing this though. Like I said, my husband took everybody into town to go shopping. Nope. That's not right. I missed a hole somewhere. Anyway, they went to Costco and Academy and all these other places. And I'm like, ugh, no, I hate crowds like that. I don't find enjoyment in that at all. I would much rather be here dealing with broken needles and finicky thread than I can't stand the traffic. I don't like the crowds. I don't like the lines. It's awful. I'm not a fan of that at all. I tolerated it at Quilt Fest. That's about it. because then I'm in my happy place. But otherwise, yeah, I'm just not a fan. Okay. So let me show you how to thread this machine. If you haven't seen it up close before, somebody had a question on threading the machine. Let me get you way in here real close. So you can see what I'm doing. Okay. So when you've got regular thread, not Monopoly thread, this little doolally right here comes down. Pull it halfway down and put the thread behind it. It has a little bitty button that sticks off right there, a little knob. On the newer machines, it's red. And you just wrap the thread around that knob. And then there's a little hook. And you can put that in there and grab it and pull it through. And in theory, it should work. Sometimes it takes 2 times. It's helpful to put the presser foot down. You just kind of want to get that thread through the needle just a tiny bit. You got to work it and wiggle it a little bit. Okay, so that worked. Okay. That you can't do that with that monopoly thread. That won't work. You'll fight it and fight it and fight it. So, okay. Let's see where we are. I know Frito. She's flapping her ears. She says, what's going on? Something's not cool. All right. I'm going to go ahead and leave the monopoly in the bobbin, and let's see how it does with these different threads and how it looks. I got to be more careful now with my stitching, as you can see it. And it's not the exact right color. I think that looks just fine. Okay. Didn't intend on spending this long on stitching in the ditch, you guys. Not at all. And I'm only going to do these 2 across. I'm not going to do the short one down. Okay, that's good. And I stuck with it. Okay, let me trim these. All right. All right, that worked out really good. And see, it still looks really nice on the back. That's what I was after. I didn't want a different color on the back. So that looks really good. I can live with that. Okay, so now I'm just going to go around the outside edges of the quilt, and I'm going to do a little bit longer stitch length and baste it within about 1/8 of an inch. So I'm just going to stick real close to the, I'm going to go on like a 3.5, maybe 4-inch stitch length and just quickly baste it. Because I'm going to trim right next to that. One more. There we go. Let me go back one. And then we'll be able to put the, oh, here's that. There's that tape I needed for my thread. Be able to trim the backing to size. Make sure I'm not caught up underneath there. One more. There we go. There we go. All right. Well done. Perfect. Excellent. All righty. So we are stitched in the ditch, okay, and basted, and we only had one needle casualty. So yeah, they take practice. They do, definitely. And I don't get it right every time. You guys can see that. I'm forever fiddling with that thing. Okay, so now I'm going to take this back over and cut it at the ironing station. And then we'll be able to put the binding on. I found my binding. Okay. So I'm going to grab myself a, let's see, let me find a good, we'll use a squaring ruler. How about that? That way I can make sure I get it nice. Make sure you guys are still on. Did we go black? Nope, we didn't. Okay, good. So I'm just going to pull these off. Yeah, life in the real world, you guys. There. Okay. I just want to make sure that this is nice and square, behaves the way it's supposed to. So now I'm going to trim up the excess backing that I had. Okay. Very easy to do this when you have, you can turn it. Makes it nice and easy to add the binding. Everything goes according to plan. Okay, and I love to cut these blocks with squaring rulers. It just gives me a nice warm fuzzy that it might look wonky because my seam allowances were all different and everything, but in the end, you're going to have a nice square block to work with. So that's another little tip to doing that. So there we go. We're all together and ready for the binding. Okay. Yeah, these are fun. I mean, it's a nice weekend project. You can get them done. Kim, you're waiting for your CD. Yeah. They're pretty quick to get done. Okay. So I'm going to stick with this really, really light green. I think it'll blend in just fine. I still have the clear thread in, but I'm going to switch it out and go back to my white thread and my bobbin. Where did that go? Did that grow legs? I thought I had it over here. There it is. Yeah. So they're great. You know, again, a nice little weekend project to, you can start it on a Saturday, finish it on a Sunday, something like that. Okay. It's really pretty quick with the multi-needle. The single needle, you know, a little bit longer, but still pretty quick. All righty. So I think that'll work. Yeah, that'll work just fine. Okay. All righty. I'm going to leave this one thread in because we're going to be stitching in the ditch on the final go round of this. Oh, I forgot to get my little square of fabric that I need for my hanging triangle. Yeah, you never know what's going to happen. I know. In my life, you never know. Long as you're prepared for it, you're good. Okay, so here's the end. If you've never done binding before, so this is a 2.5-inch strip, folded in half, wrong sides together. All right, so we have the raw edge over here and the folded edge right here. And I'm going to take about this much right here. I don't know. What do I got? 8 inches? Yeah, exactly 8 inches. I'm going to leave like 8 inches. And I'm going to start it on the side. It doesn't matter where. But I'm going to leave an 8-inch tail. 8-ish. Not, it doesn't have to be exact. Okay. And I'm going to start like right about here. All right, there, about there. I need some working room in the middle right here to be able to finish that diagonal seam binding. So I'm going to keep my fabric right at the edge of my presser foot. So I've got a 1/4 inch seam, and I've got a 1/4 inch line right here on the bed of my presser foot. And I'm going to watch for the tip of this fabric to get to that 1/4 inch line. Right there. Okay. And then I'm going to, oh, did I get it? Let me go one more. Oh, you know what? Let me come back to 2.5. Let me do that. Okay. And right there. And then I'm going to lift the presser foot, turn it to a 45-degree angle, and stitch off. Okay. So then I have this cool little template that I use. I got this idea from Karen Brown of Just Get It Done Quilts. And you take this template. Now this is plastic. You can use cardboard or whatever. I've got a 45-degree point on it right here. And the other end is flat. And I've got flat edges on each side. Okay. So I'm going to take the point and I'm going to put it down on the point of the quilt, right to the edge of the fabric, and make sure that this edge is flat with that edge of the quilt. And I'm going to fold this back pretty sharp against that template. And that's going to give me a nice 45-degree angle point right there. Okay. This keeps you from getting what they call piggy noses on your binding. Nobody likes piggy noses on their binding. Then with that there, I'm just going to slide this out, and I'm going to take this and just lay it down. Okay. So now I've got the straight edge against it, and I'm going to fold this over the top and put it even with the bottom edge of the quilt right here. So that's good. I'm going to pull this out, kind of let go a little bit. And I'm going to take a pin and I'm just going to pin it right here. Okay, so you'll see me do this a couple more times, but that's what it looks like. And that's going to give me that really nice 45-degree miter on the front. Okay. I think I can. Okay, see you later. You're going to go watch Hoop Sisters? Yeah. Okay, so now I'm ready to start on this side. And I like to start a little bit down. And I'm going to go backwards first. And then go. Okay. And just go ahead and very quick to do this. Once again, I'm getting up to that 1/4 inch mark on my bed of my machine. Right there. Point it. Go off the point. Yeah. And you can get pretty quick at doing this once you get used to the process. I've just found my accuracy to be so much better when I have begun using this template. Just so much better. Oh my gosh. My bindings have just been prettier, and I would not have thought that it would have made that big of a deal, but it does. So if you're not using one, I recommend that you just get something. She recommends a cardboard box. You can, like a cereal box, you can do that. Piece of cardboard. Okay. Alrighty. Are you guys having a nice Valentine's Day? Did you, you'd like to know how to make the binding? Could I show you sometime? Wanda, you just cut a 2.5-inch strip. So just a 2.5-inch strip. That's all it is. And you fold it in half, wrong sides together. And this is your binding. And this is exactly how I make a binding on a quilt for a regular full-size quilt or whatever. This is exactly the method. Okay. There's no mystery to it. I know sometimes people can make it seem really complicated, but there's no mystery to it at all. All right, fold this over. So you're actually going to go around the quilt twice with the binding, and my dog is snoring so loud in the background. If you hear an engine, that's Harley. She's hilarious. She's 17, you guys. She didn't bark at the Amazon because she can't hear him. That's why we got a younger dog. Okay, coming in, home stretch here. And then to put the binding strips together, I sew them at a 45-degree angle. Let me see, something's wrong here. I need one more stitch. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to bring this down just a little bit. So I've got some working room right here. Okay, so let me do this and get this right. Put that on the edge. But yes, I think, I don't know if I had I did a video, one of my very first videos years and years ago of how to make binding. It's probably buried in the YouTube archives somewhere. Okay, pin this so it doesn't get a mind of its own and want to wander off. All right. Okay, that's about as far as I'm going to go right now. So let me back tack. Okay. Oh, ow. Trim these. Okay. So now what I need to do is I need to get the, you need to get your, I want to put my binding strips together on a diagonal. I like that look. I don't like when you put your binding together and it has a straight edge, which I did do. I did do that straight edge binding finish on my little owls here because it was too small to do otherwise. So see, with this printed fabric, you really can't tell. You've got to know it's there. But otherwise, it works out just fine to do that straight edge binding finish. But I like the diagonal edge binding finish, the diagonal seam. So what I do, I need enough here to work with on my left. Okay. And I'm going to cut, I'm going to take my shears and I'm going to trim off just, I don't know, I do about 4 fingers across like this. Okay. And I'm going to just cut this edge. No measuring. It's kind of a wag, which is a wild guess. And now this is actually a 2.5-inch measure. Okay. Because the strip is 2.5 inches wide. So I'm going to lay the 2.5-inch measure right even. I know it's kind of hard to. Okay. I'm going to lay the 2.5-inch measure right even with this edge of the fabric. This is the left piece, okay? Laying it flat, folded like that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to back this up about 1/4 of an inch like that. So that now I've got 1/4 of an inch right there. Can you see that? Let me get it where you can see it. Yes. Okay. So then what I do is I take this one and fold it over on top of that. And I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to cut it over here on the far edge of my measuring piece. Like that. So you don't need measurements and all kinds of crazy stuff. I don't have enough on this one. I need my seam ripper. I don't have enough room on this one to do that. Well, I can do it with the other one. Yeah, anyway. I don't have enough room on this. Let me see if I can do this. I can lay this one out flat. Nope, that's not going to work. I don't have enough room. These small ones are hard, you guys. Let me back that up a little bit. Okay. So what you do is you take this and you lay it out flat. This is much easier on a larger quilt. Okay. You take this and you lay it out flat, face up, and you take this one and you've got it wrong side toward me, and I'm going to turn it away from me, right? I'm going to kick the bottom edge out away from me, and I'm going to turn it 360 degrees all the way around. And then I'm just going to put these together, right sides together, just like this. I'm going to match these corners. Okay. And then I'm matching this edge here and this edge here. I know it's fiddly, you guys. But you want to try to get it so that you can stitch diagonally from this corner to the other corner. So I just don't have enough room on this. I'm going to make it work. Okay. So now I'm going to stitch from here to here, straight across. Okay. And it looks like a hot mess, but it works, believe me. Okay. Get this nice and flat. Okay. And before you cut, pull the pins. I'll put this back up here. It's driving me crazy. And then pull it out flat and make sure that it fits. You see that? What is the name of the template? It's something that I made. You can watch Karen Brown from Just Get It Done Quilts. She shows you how to make them yourself. That plastic is a piece of a ruler guide that I got from, it was for the back of my long arm. I had a 12, I bought the ruler, the grid guide was 12 feet long. I only needed 10. So I had to cut some of it off, and that's what that came from. There we go. That looks great. Okay. So, all right. So now I'm ready to finish stitching this down. I'm going to go ahead and back tack it. And because I gave it that extra 1/4 of an inch, I'm not going to have any bubble on the binding. It just stitches exactly on. There we go. Nice and straight and smooth. See that? That's perfect. That's exactly what you're looking for, just like this. Okay. Yep. Oh, she has a PDF to print out the ruler. That's great. Yeah. I just made mine on my cutting table. I cut a piece of, I actually have done one with a piece of cardboard. and then used the 45-degree on the ruler and made it. Awesome. So now I've got really nice miters on my corners, and I'm going to go over to the ironing station and press this out flat because it needs to know where I want it to go. And it doesn't know right now. It's kind of wandering aimlessly and it's not real sure. So we're going to go back over here. Okay. Let me pull you guys up so you're not staring at my floor. There we go. Okay. Move all of this out of the way. I really need to get my triangle built. Okay, I've got the Mylar on here, so I'm going to use a press cloth and make sure I don't melt anything in the process. That's not a good idea. And I'm pushing those corners out nice and flat and giving it a shot of steam along the way. So I want you to stay here. Yeah, that looks good. I'm not, I don't know how, I'll be careful over the vinyl. I don't want to melt it. Yeah, this vinyl, I don't want to melt that. So I'm kind of be very careful on there. And I am hitting it with some steam. There. Went around that outside. There. That was good. That turned out really nice. Okay. And then this corner here, we'll do it. Okay. Very nice. That's excellent. Okay. I am going to grab a 10-inch square of fabric and be right back. I need to get that. Oh, here we go. I just, I found some. I got an old scrap that works. This is how I put the hanging triangle on. This is pretty easy. And I'm just going to use my 10-inch square here from Missouri Star. I've got this backwards. Hold on a second. I'm not doing this right. And you can use the selvages. That's another good use of selvage edges because it'll get folded in. But I'm not going to. I'll just do this one. There we go. Now I've got it right. My goodness. Why did that have to be so hard? I blame my mom. When I was watching her sew, she was left-handed, and it always messes me up. So I learned backwards, mirrored. All right, so this is pretty easy. You just make a triangle, and you sew it into the binding. So I've got this 10-inch square, okay, and I'm going to sew it. I'm folding it point to point to make a triangle. Press that down. And then another point to point, just like that. Just like a napkin. Just like a cloth napkin. There. This will be my hanging sleeve. Okay. There we go. All right. Practically perfect in every way. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. That looks really good, you guys. I'm not complaining. Okay, so I'm going to pop these out. Look at how cute that is. See how nice that turned out? I love it. Yeah. So I just pop these. That way they know where they're going. Okay. Alrighty, so this, I'm just going to kind of put it like right up here. Is this the top? I definitely want to sew it on the top. Yes. So I'm just going to take this and kind of, I'm just eyeballing it. You know, it's approximately an inch away from the point corner on either end. Fold that over. I'm just putting this even with the edge of the project right there. I'm going to fold the binding over. And that's what it's going to look like on the back. And it's different fabrics, and I don't care because it's the back. If I've got the same fabric, I'll do it. Like on this one was tiny enough. I had the same fabric, so it looks really nice. Yeah. But I don't have enough of this green fabric, so I just grabbed another green. No big deal. And put this on. Okay, great. And now I'm going to stitch in the ditch, and I have a ditch foot for this. I'm going to take this one off. This ditch foot is designed for industrial straight stitch machines, just like this. It's got an independent suspension on this foot, on this toe right here. So it will climb up on top of your binding, and it'll go exactly where you want. And I love it. I get the best results with this, and you get it at Ken's Sewing. People have bought it for straight stitch on like a non-industrial, like a luminaire, and I'm told the results are iffy. It is designed for an industrial machine like this one. So the Juki, okay, this one, whatever. All right, so I'm just going to fold this over. We'll start over here. I'm just going to fold it over just like that. I'm not going to pin it or anything because I've got enough binding now, since I used a 2.5 inch strip, to cover up my stitching. Okay, so I'm just folding it over and putting that toe right on the edge of the binding strip. And let's go and see. Yep, I'm right next to it. Perfect. Back tack. Okay, when I come to a corner, not the direction I'm going, but where I'm going to, me personally, you can do it either way, just so that it's the same. I like to fold the way I'm going to first. So I'm going to pin that down. And then I put my thumbnail right in that corner and fold that miter down to match it. So it's pretty perfect right there. Okay. And then I pin it so that I've pinned that mitered corner together. And I get my labels at Dutch Label Shop. I've been getting them there for years. These are my, I've got a line on the back so I can put the year that I did that. I'm going to pop that in here, and I'm going to take another pin and put that on just right through that label. So that looks good. Okay, now I'm ready to go. That looks pretty good. It's a lighter color thread, and you cannot see it. I love this foot. Okay. And I'm looking down in the hole. I'm getting right into the corner. Lift and turn. I love my knee lift. Do you guys like a knee lift? I need my stiletto on my seam ripper. This is what I use my stiletto for. Okay, so I've got this sharp weapon right here. You should have seen me trying to get a case of these things through the airport. That was interesting. And I pull it like that. Or push it. And that way I can make sure that it goes through evenly. And then I just, every so often, I kind of lift up and make sure that my stitch line underneath is covered with the binding. Okay. When I get this close, then I go ahead and, whoop, I got a string I need to cut. What are you doing? You don't belong there. The direction I'm going to turn, I put that down first. Put my thumb up in the corner, right against the edge of the quilt, and fold that down and make that miter perfect on there. Nice and flat, no piggies. And then flatten this out. You guys will love that template. It's an extra step that makes all the difference. I can go one more, I think. Yeah, right there. Okay. All right. Yeah, it just seems like the other day we were doing January's, and that was in December. Now, what do you guys do with your Valentine's stuff? So Valentine's in the middle of the month, right? And so as of tomorrow, it's outdated. Do you guys put up any other winter stuff in its place? Let me see here. I'm going to, I got to take that little mini quilt down from February because that doesn't look right anymore, right? It's too early to put up St. Patrick's because we're not to March just yet. So I guess that's where you find, other things to hang, I suppose, huh? Spring's wishful thinking. I love that groundhog said we're going to have an early spring. All right, let me make sure that my hanging point is laying flat here. I don't want to sew that upside down. That would not be cool. All right. And that looks good. This is so easy to go on this way. Oh my goodness. Oops, I waited a little bit on that. And final corner. This is it. All right. Awesome. I love it. This looks great. How cute. I love this. Awesome. Look at my corners on the miters. How about that? Pretty neat stuff, huh? I'm loving this. Let me back out a little bit. All right. Cool. Well, this has been an eventful session, hasn't it? So it's really cool. I have got my hanging point right here. I'm just going to take a stitch or 3 and catch the backing with this, and then it will hang
on my little hanger that I've got with the Valentine's one on it now. But it's just like this is how that works. So it's the coolest thing. Learned it from Laura Koya from So Very Easy. She's brilliant. I don't know where she learned that, but I think that's brilliant. So awesome. Well, so we have done March's Kimberbell Mini-quilt. Yay! I'm very happy with it, you guys. This turned out just adorable. I like the sparkles in the Mylar. See that? All of these. Isn't that cute? And the gold. I love it. It looks amazing. Awesome. All right. So you like to hand stitch. Yeah, I don't hand stitch anything. It's never a wrong time for love. I love that. Yeah, so if you just got your CD, go ahead and get started. You know, and if you don't have to go back to January if you don't want to, because you can make it next January or, you know, December, getting ready for January. So anyway, but this has been fun and eventful. Broken needle. Totally my fault. Slick as a whistle. Yeah, I like that, free spirit. Very good. Very good. So all right, you guys. Ooh, what a day. I hope you enjoy the rest of your Valentine's Day. I hope you get to spend time with people that you love. I did. I got to spend it with you. So thank you so much. Y'all give the video a thumbs up if you have not already. Please subscribe. You never know what's going to happen here. And if crazy stuff does happen, we always get through it, don't we? All right. Well, I will talk to you soon. You guys enjoy the rest of your day. I'll see you tomorrow morning in the Situation Room. Talk to you soon. Go sew something. Bye.